Welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benning. That is Hussid, and today we're joined by Neb of Twitter fame. X fame?
Don't say X
Elon
fame.
Musk's bitch.
You can't say X fame. It sounds like he does other side of the internet. We can't say.
No,
during
that
the
would be
first
triple X
individual.
fame.
Okay, keep going.
And here's
keep
Neb
going.
of triple X fame.
The writer's strike is over. Almost. They have.
Not entirely. Like, let's clarify.
I said almost, and I
That's
was
not-
clarifying.
I'm clarifying right now. The writer's strike has got terms that seems like they are amendable or
They agree on the term. They say
agree
it's
on
a
the
historic
terms.
decision. They still have to vote on it as a board, as a people. But as of right now, picketing is suspended.
Right. It is leaning to. Now, I looked into this a little bit more into the overall effect. And basically, at this point, we've got WGA has gone on strike, SAG has gone on strike, and then there's talks about the video game industry also going on strike to solidify all of this stuff. The nationwide economic impact is more than $5 billion lost.
Easily.
And it goes more than just the industry. It goes to the special effects, and it goes to restaurants, and it goes to bars. And I was thinking about this for a moment. I was like, how does it affect restaurants and bars? Think about this. And we're weird. All of us are weird, right? But how often do couples go out and they go to a movie and dinner and they shop around the mall? But now there's no movie because there's nothing to go see because nothing's being promoted.
I do that all the time. I don't know why you call me weird.
We're weird because our lives are we're on the internet talking to people. It doesn't get weirder than this.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, there's a lot of culture. Even if you get out of you go into the weeds of just what are not writers, directors, or actors like in movie studios, right? You have lighting people, makeup artists, VFX artists. There's like 1,000 jobs within that, and as you slowly trickle down, it's like those people have less money to put in the economy. Less people are going to restaurants. Less people are eating out. They're all budgeting, and they're only operating off the money they have left / the money that they're being allotted through donations and things like that. So huge hit to the economy. And it's a crazy decision to ever go at probably America's #1 distribution into the global economy. It's entertainment. So really took a hit on our global value for a lot of that as well.
Yeah, and it really heavily affects like advertising. Like people didn't realize, like a friend of mine who's in the industry was telling me like, yeah, when the actors go on strike, you just can't make commercials anymore either. Like that's just gone too, and people don't think about that because it's not the same usual scripted content. But yeah, it's a massive domino effect. So like it's just been a disaster.
So there is some things to this. So that is tentatively done, the writer's strike. But SAG will not end with the writer's strike. Since they went on strike as well, they have their own series of demands that they want met.
We do.
So basically, we might at first when I read this, I'm like, oh, it's over. We're going to start getting the writers back in. We're going to start getting people back to work. Movies are going to begin to film. No, they've also still got to come to terms with the actors.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling once the actors went on strike, that was finally when they were like, fine, whatever, we'll do it. We'll come to terms. Because without the actors, everything in August tanked, except Barbie. That was like,
yeah,
Barbie's the only thing. Ned's picture of Margot Robbie is the only thing that succeeded.
And I will say that only succeeded because the marketing campaign worked so well up until the strike kicked off.
Yeah,
like they finished their marketing run, not entirely, right? They didn't get to the finish line, but they did the best marketing campaign ever in the months leading up to it. So that's why they were fine. It's I will say SAG-AFTRA is probably going to get a deal a lot quicker than WGA did, especially now that they got the writers back. AMTP is just going to want to pay out. At this point, it's comical how much money they've paid for the strike because that is 1/10, 1/100th the amount of money they would need to pay the writers and actors a fair deal. Which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. They're like, no, we won't pay you. It'll cost us too much money. And it's like, oh, and it cost us way more money because we didn't want to pay you.
Right. Well, I think what they realized is once the actors weren't promoting it. So I pulled up a list of everything that came out in August because the amount of movies that came out that I didn't know came out, and I bet you guys didn't as well. This is the most direct effect of the entire strike and how bad it's been at this point. Because if you aren't aware, having writers and actors on strike, no one's allowed to promote their movies. Mm-hmm. And by having no one promote their movies, there's no Twitter drama, there's no actor interviews, there's nothing. There's literally nothing except whatever they did beforehand. And movie theaters rely on word of mouth promotions started by interviews and stupid things like that. They don't normally dump billions of dollars into billboards and posters. They just
press junkets are a big part of the overall marketing of like movies. Like actors they're not contracted to film a movie. They're contracted to film a movie and to market it. like
Yeah.
all the way through. They literally are not off of work until the movie is out.
Yeah, and
But,
someone in chat said that it explains Blue Beetle not doing well, and that had a
that
lot of
was your
things going
fault.
on. It's all my fault, but it had a lot of things going on. However, I did talk to several people, and it's like, yeah, they waited too long to promote the movie, and before the strike happened, they all knew it was going to happen, so they filmed a bunch of stuff in bulk, right? But the
Yeah.
point is that there was just a lot of things they still weren't able to do, and they were really going to start a lot of stuff right before it happened, and then they just didn't have the chance. And
I mean,
you
Blue
know,
Beetle did have a lot of other things going against it, but I do think the
Yeah.
strike definitely affected it.
It definitely did. And then,
so
you have
the-
like Expendables 4 out right now. It's like
Right,
people
which is
don't
what I was
even
going to
know
bring
that.
up. I'm going to get to that one, but right now we have Turtles. Turtles had a lot of hype before, so that did okay.
Yep.
Amazing movie.
Yeah.
Thank God.
For the record, it didn't do like gangbusters, but it still
couldn't have,
did
yeah.
really well.
All
It-
things considered, yeah.
They right before their big press push. That's when the strike started. Before they got their like actual wheels behind them too. So
Yeah, it did 191 million. So I mean, it didn't do poorly. I don't know what the budget was, but
It's better than I expected it to do, and I'm really glad because I just watched it for the second time with my husband last night.
Fantastic
Just
movie.
incredible, yeah. Just
yeah, so I still got to see it. I keep meaning to.
Do it
Um,
ASAP.
Then Meg 2 came out. I didn't even know that one had a sequel that came out. Yep.
I received an offer that was scabbing for the Meg 2.
Meg 2
Last
is,
Voyage of Demeter, which was the vampire boat movie, which I didn't know
Oh my
existed
God.
until it hit Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I forgot about that completely.
What?
That's sad.
I've never heard of that. What?
Blue Beetle,
Yeah.
Strays,
peace.
I hear bombed horribly.
Oh,
Mhm.
that bombed horrifically.
Yeah, and that one starred Jamie Foxx and Will Ferrell.
Yeah, initially, long-term tracking had that movie as doing more than Blue Beetle, actually, which
Yeah.
is just more embarrassing to Blue Beetle, but I digress. It was, people did not expect that one to do so poorly just because, like, it was never going to do incredible. It's, it was just like a movie about dogs or whatever, an adult comedy, but to do that badly is just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it
It
goes to
was
show
rough.
the age of the movie star has been over for a long time now. And that,
Exactly.
like Jamie Foxx is an incredible actor, and so is Will Ferrell. And they used to get asses in seats, especially Will Ferrell. I don't know about Jamie Foxx's track record, and not to say that he doesn't have one. I just don't know. But Will Ferrell, like, oh, it's a Will Ferrell movie. It's a big deal. Nobody cares about that anymore. And I think Chris Evans talked about it recently. They're like, people don't care about me, Chris Evans. They care about Captain America.
Exactly.
I beg
Well,
to
that's-
differ with
that's-
him, but it's funny.
That's not different with him because actually, if you think about a lot of the name an MCU movie star that was able to get the same like even comparable numbers in their out of like we hear about him because we're following.
Knives Out,
But Knives
Chris
Out,
Evans.
Knives Out had a huge ensemble cast.
which it did, but I'd say I guess Ana de Armas was a big one, and then Jamie Lee Curtis. But I would say the biggest guy in that cast was Evans, which is funny
Yo.
because Evans is in so many random 2000s movies.
Can't think
Just
of
as
his
like a
name
funny
now.
guy.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is in that one.
Yeah, but I guess I don't care about I don't care about James Bond enough to. I
I'm
almost said
just
Mission
saying, like
Impossible.
it had an ensemble cast.
Well, now
of
he's
big
the
names.
draw. I only want to see those movies because he's going to continue to be.
Oh,
in
right.
it. I
easily.
love him.
But it
His
is related
Bayou,
to...
Louisiana accent. It's awesome.
You did say like the age of the movie star is over. That's true
Yeah.
because beforehand when you say that, people would go, "Oh, that's true," but still we have like Tom Cruise, for example. Nope, Mission Impossible just did not make anywhere near as much as it should have anyway. Just
Yeah,
people
Gran
thought that was a
Turismo-
guaranteed hit.
Apparently, Gran
Gran
Turismo
Turismo.
did well. I still want to see that. But
Yeah,
apparently
that was interesting because they did the same thing that The Flash did, where they had a bunch of fan screenings beforehand for some reason, and it actually worked out. So it's really hard to do the box office marketing things like just shit happens.
yeah. There was another Liam Neeson, whatever his name, wannabe Taken movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was supposed to do well.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was supposed to do well, but
No.
but I mean, these are just a few of the titles. Then Expendables 4 came out, and I didn't even know there was a fourth one.
And also, frankly, I think there's other ramifications to talk about, right? We're talking about Marvel shows, DC shows, movies, TV, whatever, that have been maybe lackluster the last several years. It's because of the push to streaming and the income deficits. Like, you can't, like, this isn't just about them striking. It's about them finally being paid enough to get livable wages so that they can pay actors fairly for their work, and the actors have time to put in genuine effort on the things that they're writing. Because that's another big issue, is that some of these these writers were like forced under a gun for little to no pay to write, a passive Ant-Man. And what happened to Ant-Man and the Quantumanium? Well,
It was evil.
It was a movie that made me stop watching the MCU. Not
My
really,
husband
but-
didn't finish it. I just barely did. It was a truly evil thing where if you go back to Marvel Phase 1, you notice they hired a lot more, I don't know if like well-known talent, but like established talent in the writing room and like directors and that. But then they were like, okay, now we can just hire much cheaper, newer writers who are not as established, don't have as much experience, and we don't have to pay them anything either anyway. And it's like, yeah, when you're like hiring a bunch of like really struggling, like, you know, probably still young adults just who like have barely written anything before, no residuals, you know, yeah, like it's going to affect the writing quality. It's
Absolutely.
just, yeah.
I want to just throw for the Expendables 4 thing. It opened up for its opening weekend, 8.3 million.
That's real
That's
bad,
a lot
huh?
of money. I'd like that much money.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's-
no,
but
it's a
for a
lot of
movie,
money.
That's
But
no
for a movie
money,
with
right?
that ensemble cast,
Yeah,
not good.
I could live forever on that.
yeah. I'm
Most
sure
people could.
I hope so.
it'll. I'm really glad that the writers got taken care of before the actors, though. I was gonna say that was gonna be very frustrating if the actors managed to get a deal beforehand, just
Right.
because the writers over 160 days on strike,
Yeah.
and they are the unappreciated. You know, like nobody talks about a writer when something is incredible, but they certainly talk about them when something is bad. You know, like somebody in our chat just brought up Jeff Loveness was thrown under the bus for Ant-Man. Yeah, he absolutely was.
Oh yeah.
Incredible writer. His work speaks for itself. And then there
I
was
like how
that film.
Twitter assumes he wrote the entire thing by himself in one take and nobody had any interference with it.
Right.
Yeah, as if
People
studios
don't
hadn't-
understand screenwriting basics where, you know, you can write the best script of all time. A director will get their hands on it and do whatever they want, and you'll still be credited no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I fully believe, like, Jeff Loveness, you know, he wrote comics, like, and he wrote, like, good comics, too. And
Yeah.
it's, yeah, you know, you can't blame a screenwriter entirely, to a certain extent, you know, sure. But that movie was just the lack of talent of Peyton Reed. I have a personal vendetta against him, I think.
Yeah, you have an issue with the director.
Yeah, he's so, I can't believe he got to that level where he just made some of the worst, like, Ant-Man 2 is made out of cement. It just feels like a
I love that
gross,
movie.
like, gray movie.
I love
I
Ant-Man
couldn't
movie.
stand it.
I love Ant-Man too. But look, I think it's the most exciting part is the fair wages portion, because I think it'll elevate the art form, right? Between
Yeah.
actors and writers, everybody getting their fair shake is such a good concept, right? Because you'll get the actors you really like back in the day were working jobs at simultaneously acting. Now it's a much bigger obligation than it was, and there's much less money in it, right? Because
Yeah.
like I said, the marketing campaigns, that was not always the thing. It wasn't that you were contracted from filming, you know, sit through reshoots, and then you need to sit through the whole entire press run. That became a thing, I want to say in the early 2000s, 2010s became like a very prominent demand of studios. And the money hasn't gone up much since then. And a lot of people, like I saw somebody in our comments saying the actors get paid enough. I don't think that they, or people who are misunderstanding what the strike was about, it's not about Robert Downey Jr. or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? In fact, those people came together and donated a lot of money. It's for the working actors. It's for your
Mhm.
day-to-day actors. It's for people that you'll recognize from 30 different TV productions that were never paid enough to get health care. They couldn't even qualify for unionized health care because they're being paid so little. There was a woman who was talking about how she was on Rick and, like, I think the woman who plays Summer on Rick and Morty. During the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty, she was on Rick and Morty and another show at the time, and she still did not qualify for union standard health care. That's how little she was being paid. Now, you could say, oh, it's their agent not negotiating on their behalf or whatever you have to say, but the industry itself was not paying enough. And back in the day, residual checks did it, right? You would do 1 episode or 5 episodes of Saved by the Bell, and you would get paid a check for Saved by the Bell in perpetuity for as long as that episode is making money.
Right.
That's good. It's not a ton of money, but it compounds over a decade of work, 2 decades of work. Dante Basco, who voices Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, he does a bit on TikTok where he's like, let me show you this residual check. And it's like him from like a movie he was in the 90s. It's like $2. It's not a lot of money, but $2 from 700 projects ends up being enough of a check to pay rent to qualify for healthcare. So it's very important that we don't conflate Robert Downey Jr. and to our working
Exactly.
day-to-day actors.
It's a big misconception that all actors just make that kind of money when they don't. Just because you see someone on television does not mean that they're doing remotely okay in any way. There was the actress on the CW show Rain who, like, a while back basically outlined her income and explained, like, I was on this show, but I have to give percentages to my agent, talent agencies, living in California, right?
Yeah.
That's a massive chunk by itself. You could be a regular on a show for a very long time, still needs to go right, but next to another job, just keep going. It doesn't stop unless you're like maybe a lead. And even then, it's not like you're living 100% lavishly all the time. So yeah, it's a big misconception that like, oh yeah, it's like, I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. is being fine. Arnold Schwarzenegger, they make tons of money. It's like,
Oh yeah,
they
Dwayne
do.
The Rock Johnson. When's the next Dwayne Johnson movie coming out? New Fast and
Even
Furious?
he's struggling. He went back to WWE.
Yeah,
Like
he did. I was like, what's his next movie? Actually, I even wondering.
he had the fear of God. He went back
he
to
not
wrestling.
only he made peace with Vin Diesel and went back to the WWE. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's in bad shape.
He got
post-Black
humbled
Adam.
quick.
He got humbled the most I've ever
It's not
seen
about
somebody
drive
get
or
humbled.
power, or hunger and desire anymore. He's
Oh
done.
wow, his next movie is Red One, where he's an elf or something like that.
That sounds
Upcoming
awesome.
Christmas action movie,
Big fan.
and
That's,
then nothing else comes out until Fast X and Moana, the live
Yeah,
action
that's
Moana.
it says a lot actually. That's why like, it's one of those Netflix movies that it'll come out. It's a Netflix movie with The Rock and I believe Chris Evans as well. Or somebody else
I
on
think
that
Chris
level.
Evans did. The guy that plays J. Jonah Jameson, the actor.
yeah.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons
And-
got ripped for the role, so he can be ripped Santa.
Exactly. And it's one of those problems where that's a Netflix movie that they definitely spent like $100-200 million on. Like nobody's gonna watch it. You won't hear about it like a month after it comes out. It's just one of those weird, forgettable things that they make. And they could have just spent that money on paying people fairly. Netflix is the most terrified of these strikes in particular because they've been doing
Their
people
entire
dirty the
structure is
most.
built upon undercutting people to promote
Exactly.
streaming, which is only profitable to the detriment of how many different people and how many different unions and guilds and writers, actors, TV writers, like everything in the above. It shook up the industry in a way that if there had been provisions beforehand, probably would have been an incredible innovation. And as a viewer of streaming, great for me, man, but bad for everybody else.
Mhm.
Somebody said something in the chat along the lines of, why would you work? Or like, the CW is dog shit. Don't work for them. If you're an actor and you're a working actor, you accept the roles that you are given
Oh yeah,
to make ends meet. But also, Stephen Amell ended up not doing much in the movie side of his career, but Arrow got him Ninja Turtles. And that movie bombed, unrelated to him, but he went from, D-list TV actor, one of the biggest TV actors because of a CW show, and then Ninja Turtles. And then he did
well,
Doom.
right now he's also on heels. But I think we've said what we can about this without reiterating a lot of what we've already said. It's a good sign that things are finally coming to a close. Does that mean that we're going to have a ton of stuff to talk about real soon? No, because the problem with this kind of a thing is then it has to slowly start rolling back up and everything needs to happen. But hopefully we won't have a dead 2024. I'm hoping this will give us something going on because that was my big concern. at this
I would
point.
say we'll be back in the swing of talking about things consistently in the fall or the winter of 2024. Realistically, right? Between
Yeah.
like production
Hopefully,
schedules
yeah.
and stuff,
I would say
They'll-
summer new stuff. Will
there'll be some comedy stuff and like easy stuff out first for sure. But your big budget productions, your things that require like, Marvel size staffs and industry stuff, that's going to take some time
Right.
to
That
keep back
being
up for
said,
sure.
don't get too comfortable just because, as we said, it's not over yet. The actors
Yeah.
still have to do their thing. But also remember, like those Marvel VFX artists unionized, and it's specifically the on-set VFX artists. It's very specific in its own thing. But yeah, they also deserve to be paid fairly. They've been getting treated like dirt so badly. So yeah, hopefully they can get something sorted out too. And if it has to postpone the industry even more, then so be it. But yeah.
All right. Well, we are absolutely. My name is Betty. That is Neb, and that is Hassan. You can find me on X at Comicstorian. Neb is at Neb's Good Takes at X, and Hassan is at what is yours? Hassan Kader.
Just add Hassan Kader
Okay.
on X and then youtube.com/Hassan.Kader for
No, we're doing
commentary
Twitter
videos.
promotions today.
Sorry, I do everything.
It's called X Promotions.
Always stay plug-in. Let's do it. All right. Bye, guys. Bye. That's the end of the video.